Listen carefully, because this message is not random, and it is not by accident that you are hearing these words right now. There has been a silent battle happening around your name, conversations you were not present in, accusations spoken in rooms you never entered, judgments formed by people who never truly knew your heart, and for a while it felt like you were losing something you could not even see. Your reputation felt bruised, your character questioned, your intentions misunderstood, and there were moments when you wanted to defend yourself, to explain, to argue, to expose the truth with your own hands, but somehow you were restrained, somehow you were held back, and you wondered why heaven was silent while your name was being dragged through the mud. But what you did not realize is that silence does not mean absence, and delay does not mean denial, because while you were trying to survive the whispers, something powerful was happening beyond the natural realm, something bigger than human opinion and stronger than false narratives. Your name was being reviewed in the spirit, your story was being examined by a higher authority, and the one who sees what no human eye can see was building a case in your favor, because when people speak from assumption, God responds from truth. When people judge from fragments, God judges from the full picture, and there is a difference between earthly gossip and divine verdict. And right now there is a shift taking place that you may not yet see with your physical eyes, but you will soon witness with undeniable clarity. The same mouths that questioned you will grow silent, the same circles that excluded you will be forced to acknowledge you, the same people who doubted your integrity will watch as your character stands vindicated without you having to lift a finger. Because there is a law in the spirit that no lie can outlive the truth, and no false accusation can permanently bury a destiny that has been marked by God, and you have been marked, not by failure, not by scandal, not by mistake, but by purpose, and purpose carries protection, and protection brings exposure, and exposure reveals what was hidden, and what was hidden is the real story, the parts they never saw, the tears you cried in private, the sacrifices you made when no one applauded, the restraint you showed when you could have retaliated, the prayers you whispered when you felt misunderstood, and heaven recorded every single detail, every motive, every intention, every moment when you chose integrity over revenge. And now that record is speaking louder than the rumors ever did, because there comes a moment when God steps into a situation not just to comfort but to correct, not just to bless but to clear, and this is that moment for you. The spiritual atmosphere around your name is shifting. What once felt heavy is becoming lighter. What once felt tense is becoming peaceful. What once felt uncertain is becoming established, because when God clears a name, He does not do it partially, He does not whisper the truth timidly, He reveals it in a way that silences confusion, and you are about to experience clarity that does not require explanation, favor that does not require campaigning, restoration that does not require begging, because divine justice does not need human marketing, it only needs divine timing. And timing is aligning in your favor. And you may still see traces of misunderstanding around you, but do not be deceived by temporary shadows, because the light is already rising, and when light rises, darkness does not argue, it simply disappears, and that is what is happening to the accusations that try to attach themselves to your identity. They are losing power, losing influence, losing credibility, because truth has a weight that lies cannot carry for long, and the more you stayed silent, the more evidence heaven gathered. The more you refused to retaliate, the stronger your case became, the more you trusted instead of panicking, the more authority was being positioned on your behalf, and you might be wondering why this had to happen at all. why your name had to pass through misunderstanding, why your character had to be tested publicly. But understand this, there are levels of elevation that require levels of purification, and sometimes your name must be tested before it is trusted on a larger platform. Because where you are going, visibility increases and influence expands, and before expansion there must be verification, and this season of pressure was verification, this season of whispers was refinement, this season of feeling misjudged was preparation for a greater weight of honor, because when your name rises again it will not be fragile, it will not be easily shaken by rumor, it will carry a resilience forged in fire, and the very situation that tried to damage your credibility will become the evidence of your credibility, because people will remember that you did not collapse under accusation, you did not explode in rage, you did not crumble in insecurity, you stood, maybe quietly, maybe imperfectly, but you stood, and heaven honors those who stand when it would have been easier to fight in the flesh, and there is something powerful about divine vindication. It does not just clear your present, it rewrites perception, it restores access, it reopens doors that were shut unfairly. It rebuilds trust that was broken by assumption, and it does so in a way that no one can deny. Because it is not manipulation, it is revelation, and revelation changes everything, because when truth is revealed it rearranges conversations, it shifts alliances, it exposes motives, and it establishes you in a new light, and you are about to be seen differently, not because you changed who you are but because the truth about who you have always been is rising to the surface, and there will be moments when you will sense it. Small signs at first, subtle respect where there was once tension, unexpected support where there was once distance, invitations where there was once exclusion, and these are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the clearing has begun, and you must resist the temptation to revisit old arguments or re-explain old wounds, because when God clears your name you do not need to reopen closed cases, you simply walk forward with quiet confidence. Because the verdict has already been written in your favor, and what is written in the Spirit eventually manifests in the natural. And the same God who saw you misrepresented is the God who will see you restored publicly, and the restoration will not just be about reputation but about peace, because carrying false narratives is exhausting, and you have carried enough, and now there is a release happening, a lifting of invisible weight, a calm replacing anxiety, a steadiness replacing anxiety, a steadiness replacing overthinking, because when you know heaven has spoken you no longer need to argue with earth, and this is your season to rest in that assurance, to stop defending and start trusting, to stop striving and start standing, because your name is not in the hands of people, it is in the hands of God, and hands that created galaxies know how to handle reputations. And if he allowed the shaking it was only because he knew the foundation would hold, and it has held. You are still here, still standing, still believing, and that alone is proof that the attack did not succeed, and now what remains is the unveiling of what was already decided, that you are not what they said, you are not what they assumed, you are not the narrative that tried to define you, you are called, you are covered, you are vindicated, and this clearing is not just about the past but about the future. Because where you are going your name must carry authority, and authority cannot coexist with unresolved accusation, so heaven is resolving it, completely, thoroughly, undeniably, and you will look back on this season not with bitterness but with gratitude, because you will see how the pressure strengthened you, how the misunderstanding matured you, how the silence deepened your faith, and how the clearing elevated you beyond what public approval ever could have done. And when the shift becomes visible, do not become arrogant, do not become cold, do not become defensive, remain humble, remain steady, remain grounded, because the goal was never just to clear your name but to shape your character, and now both are aligned, your character refined and your name restored, and as this unfolds you will walk with a new confidence that does not depend on applause and does not fear criticism, because you have seen what it means for God to defend you. And once you have experienced divine defense, you no longer panic at human opinion, you no longer crumble under whispers, you no longer chase validation, because you know that the highest court has already ruled, and the ruling stands, and no appeal from bitterness, jealousy, or misunderstanding can overturn what has been established. So lift your head, steady your heart, quiet your fears, because the season of confusion is closing and the season of clarity is opening. Your name is being cleared in the Spirit. And what is cleared in the Spirit cannot remain clouded in the natural for long, and very soon you will see with your own eyes what heaven has already declared, that you are vindicated, restored, and positioned for a level of honor that no accusation could stop and no rumor could delay. And as this divine clearing continues to unfold, there is something even deeper you must understand, because this was never only about what people said, it was about what the attack was trying to plant inside you. It was trying to make you question yourself, to second-guess your calling, to shrink your voice, to dim your light, to feel unworthy of the very spaces you were meant to occupy, because when the enemy cannot destroy your destiny directly, it will attempt to contaminate your confidence, and if it can make you doubt who you are, then it does not need to convince others for long. But what it did not anticipate is that pressure would not poison you, it would purify you. It did not realize that isolation would not weaken you, it would deepen you, and it did not expect that silence would not erase you. It would strengthen your discernment, because in the moments when you felt most misunderstood, you were actually becoming more anchored, more spiritually aware, more emotionally disciplined, and more aligned with purpose than ever before, and that alignment is the real victory, because a cleared name without a strengthened spirit would only return you to the same cycle, but this time you are not the same person you were when the accusations first started. This time you are steadier, wiser, less reactive, more discerning about who has access to you, more careful about where you invest your energy, and that transformation is part of the vindication, because sometimes God allows your name to be tested so your spirit can be tempered, and once both are refined, He restores you at a level you were not ready for before, and you are entering a phase where your presence will carry a different weight. People will sense authority without you announcing it. Respect will follow you without you demanding it, and opportunities will approach you without you chasing them, because when your name is cleared in the Spirit, it does not just erase falsehood, it releases favor, and favor operates quietly but powerfully. It opens doors you did not knock on, it softens hearts you thought were permanently closed, it shifts conversations in rooms you are not even aware of. And you will begin to notice that things that once resisted you are now responding to you, environments that once felt hostile now feel neutral, or even supportive, and that is not coincidence. That is the atmosphere adjusting to the verdict that has already been made on your behalf, and there may still be a few who cling to the old narrative, a few who refuse to update their opinion, a few who are too prideful to admit they were wrong, but do not be distracted by the minority who hold on to yesterday when the majority is stepping into tomorrow, because your assignment is not to convince everyone, Your assignment is to walk faithfully into what is next, and what is next requires focus, not fixation on past misunderstandings, and as your name is restored there will also be restoration in your inner world. Sleep that was once restless will become peaceful, thoughts that once raced will become calm, emotions that once felt heavy will become balanced, because stress tied to reputation is one of the heaviest burdens to carry, and you have carried it long enough. Now there is a release happening not just around you but within you. And that inner peace will be one of the clearest signs that the clearing is real, because when God resolves something He does not only fix the external narrative, He heals the internal wounds, and you may even find yourself forgiving more easily, not because what happened was acceptable but because you are no longer bound to it, you are no longer defined by it, you are no longer fighting it, and forgiveness will not be weakness. It will be evidence that you have moved beyond the need to prove anything, because when heaven proves you right you no longer feel the urgency to prove others wrong, and that maturity will elevate you further than revenge ever could, and as elevation comes you must guard your heart carefully, because restored honor attracts attention, and not all attention carries good intention. Some will come close to benefit from your favor, some will attempt to reconnect once they see the shift, and you must use the discernment you gained during isolation to decide who truly belongs in this next chapter, because being cleared does not mean returning to every old connection, sometimes it means moving forward with new alignment, and you will sense clearly who celebrates your restoration genuinely and who simply tolerates it reluctantly, and that clarity will protect you from repeating cycles. And there is also something prophetic about this moment, because your story of being misjudged and then vindicated will become a testimony that strengthens others. People who are currently walking through similar misunderstanding will see your outcome and regain hope. They will realize that silence does not equal defeat and that patience is not passivity, and your endurance will speak louder than any defense you could have given, because lived integrity always outlasts spoken accusation, and as this truth settles into your spirit you will carry yourself differently. Not arrogantly but assuredly, not aggressively but confidently, because there is a quiet strength that comes from knowing you survived something that was meant to discredit you, and survival alone is powerful, but restoration is transformative. And what is happening now is transformation. Your name is not just being cleared, it is being repositioned, and repositioning changes trajectory. It aligns you with spaces that match your character, with relationships that honor your authenticity, with opportunities that reflect your integrity, and this alignment will feel almost effortless compared to the resistance you faced before. Because when you are no longer fighting to correct lies you have energy to pursue purpose, and purpose is calling you forward, not backward, and as you move forward you will notice that some of the very things that once caused you pain now hold no emotional charge. Conversations about the past will not trigger you, memories will not wound you, and that emotional neutrality will be confirmation that the clearing is complete, because true vindication does not leave lingering bitterness, it leaves settled peace, and peace is your inheritance in this season, not chaos, not confusion, not defensiveness, but peace, steady and unwavering, and from that peace you will build again, dream again, trust again, and speak again without fear that your words will be twisted, because you will no longer live under the shadow of misinterpretation. You will live under the light of truth, and truth protects those who walk in it, and as the light grows brighter around your name you will realize that what felt like a setback was actually separation from environments that could not sustain your next level, separation from people who were uncomfortable with your growth, separation from narratives that would have limited your expansion, and now that separation has served its purpose, and restoration is taking its place. And this restoration will not be loud at first, it will be steady, consistent, undeniable over time, and consistency builds credibility stronger than sudden applause, and credibility is what will anchor you in the spaces you are entering, because when your name carries credibility, doors remain open, trust deepens, and influence multiplies, and influence is coming, not for ego but for impact, because everything you endured has equipped you to handle greater responsibility with humility. And that humility will protect you from repeating the cycle of reacting to every opinion, because you now understand that not every voice deserves access to your peace, and that understanding is freedom, and freedom is what this clearing ultimately produces: freedom from over-explaining, freedom from over-defending, freedom from overthinking what others think, and when you walk in that freedom you will finally experience what it means to be secure not in public approval but in divine affirmation, and divine affirmation is unshakable. It does not fluctuate with trends, it does not bow to popularity, it does not fear criticism. It stands firm, and you are standing on it now, whether you fully realize it or not, and as days unfold you will see subtle confirmations, unexpected apologies, surprising acknowledgments, sudden opportunities, and even if apologies never come, the respect will, and respect built on revealed truth is stronger than forced agreement, so do not rush the process. Do not attempt to accelerate what is already divinely timed, continue walking with integrity, continue choosing maturity, continue guarding your heart, because what has begun in the spirit is already secured, and the natural realm is simply catching up, and when it fully aligns you will look back and recognize that this entire season was not an attack on your identity but a refining of it, not a destruction of your name but a strengthening of it, and now your name will carry testimony, resilience, authority, and peace. And no future accusation will intimidate you the way it once did, because you have seen how God clears, how God restores, how God vindicates, and that experience has built an unshakable confidence inside you. So step forward without fear, speak without hesitation, build without insecurity, trust without paranoia, because your name is not under threat, it is under protection. It is being established, it is being honored, and what heaven has cleared no person can permanently cloud. And this next chapter will prove that beyond any doubt, and now as this restoration continues to manifest, you must recognize that what has been happening around your name is directly connected to where you are being positioned next, because a cleared name is not simply about relief from past tension, it is preparation for future visibility, and visibility requires stability, because the higher you rise the more eyes observe you, the more opinions form about you, the more scrutiny surrounds you. And if your identity were still fragile the pressure of elevation would crush you, but this season of misunderstanding built spiritual muscle inside you, it built restraint, patience, emotional intelligence, and discernment, and those qualities are the very pillars that will sustain you in the next dimension of your assignment, because elevation without maturity creates collapse, but elevation after refinement creates longevity, and longevity is what is being secured for you, not a temporary rise, not a short-lived moment of applause, but a steady, enduring establishment that cannot easily be shaken by rumor or resistance, and as you step into this new space there will be a noticeable difference in how you respond to opposition. What once triggered you will now barely move you, what once kept you awake at night will now feel insignificant, because when you have survived the storm of false accusation, smaller wins no longer intimidate you, and this inner steadiness will confuse some people. They will expect you to react the way you used to. They will anticipate defensiveness or explanation, but instead they will encounter calm confidence, and that calm will speak louder than arguments ever could, because true vindication changes posture. It shifts how you carry yourself, how you enter rooms, how you speak, how you listen, how you decide, and you will begin to notice that your voice carries weight without you raising it, your presence commands respect without you demanding it, and your silence holds authority without you trying to prove anything, because there is something powerful about a person who has been defended by God. They no longer operate from fear of being misunderstood, they operate from assurance of being known fully by heaven, and that assurance is becoming your foundation, and from this foundation you will build new connections that are healthier, deeper, and more aligned with your purpose, because the clearing of your name also cleared space in your life. Space that was once occupied by tension, by overthinking, by trying to manage perceptions, and now that space is available for creativity, for strategy, for growth, for expansion, and expansion is not just external, it is internal. Your mindset is expanding, your capacity to handle responsibility is expanding, your tolerance for drama is decreasing while your tolerance for peace is increasing, and that shift is essential. Because peace is the environment where purpose thrives, and you are entering an environment where peace will be your norm rather than your exception, and this does not mean challenges will disappear, it means challenges will no longer define you, they will refine you without destabilizing you, because your identity is no longer tied to public opinion, it is anchored in divine confirmation. And when identity is anchored, storms become temporary rather than catastrophic, and you have crossed into that level of stability. And there is also a hidden blessing in the fact that your name was tested, because now you know who truly stands with you, you know who believed in your character even when others questioned it, you know who waited for truth rather than jumping to conclusions, and those relationships will become invaluable in your next season, because loyalty revealed in difficulty is rare and powerful, and you will invest differently now, more intentionally, more wisely, less impulsively, because experience has sharpened your discernment. And discernment will protect your peace moving forward, and as your name continues to be established, you may even find that some of the people who once misunderstood you begin to treat you with unexpected respect, not because you confronted them, not because you convinced them, but because truth has a way of surfacing in undeniable ways, and when it does it humbles those who spoke too quickly, and you will not need to remind them of what they said, you will not need to highlight their error. Your consistency will do that silently, and consistency is your greatest ally right now. Continue showing up with integrity, continue walking in humility, continue choosing maturity over momentary satisfaction, because each day you reinforce the verdict that has already been declared in the Spirit, and reinforcement turns revelation into reputation. And reputation built on truth is unbreakable. And as this unbreakable foundation forms beneath you, opportunities will begin to align that once seemed out of reach, platforms that once felt distant will feel accessible. Conversations that once excluded you will include you, and you will realize that the delay was never denial, it was development. And development is often uncomfortable, often misunderstood, often lonely, but always purposeful, and purpose is what has been guarding you even when you felt exposed, because exposure in the wrong season would have damaged you, but exposure after refinement will elevate you. And elevation is not simply about status, it is about influence, and influence is responsibility, and responsibility requires a clean name, a steady heart, and a disciplined spirit, and you now carry all three, and this alignment will produce momentum, and momentum will carry you into spaces where your voice creates impact, where your story inspires resilience, where your testimony strengthens faith in others who are currently being misjudged. Because your experience was never meant to isolate you permanently, it was meant to equip you to lead compassionately, to understand pain without becoming bitter, to extend grace without becoming naive, and that balance is powerful, and as you move forward you will notice that your confidence no longer needs validation, it is self-sustaining because it is rooted in something eternal rather than temporary, and when confidence is rooted in eternity it does not fluctuate with applause or criticism, it remains steady, and steadiness is magnetic. It draws trust, it attracts opportunity, it builds credibility naturally, and credibility will open doors that talent alone could not open, because talent may attract attention but character sustains trust, and trust is what keeps doors open long-term, and this is why the clearing of your name was essential, because where you are going trust will be currency, and your integrity has been tested and proven integrity carries authority, and authority commands respect even in silence. And as respect grows you will also grow in humility, because you will remember the season when you felt unseen, unheard, misunderstood, and that memory will keep you grounded, it will keep you compassionate toward others walking through similar storms, it will prevent arrogance from creeping in when honor begins to surround you, and humility combined with authority is a rare and powerful combination, and that is what is forming in you right now, and do not underestimate how significant this moment is. Because many people break under accusation, many people react impulsively and damage their own credibility further, many people allow bitterness to define them, but you endured, you restrained yourself when it was hard, you chose faith over retaliation, and that choice has positioned you for something lasting, something stable, something that will not crumble under pressure. And as the natural world continues to align with what has already been decided in the spirit you will step into a confidence that feels almost unfamiliar at first, because it will be free from anxiety, free from defensiveness, free from the need to constantly clarify yourself, and that freedom will feel light, refreshing, empowering, and from that empowerment you will build boldly again, dream without hesitation again, trust wisely again, and lead courageously again, because your name is no longer under question, it is under confirmation, it is being established, strengthened, and honored in ways you could not have orchestrated yourself, and the beauty of divine vindication is that it requires no self-promotion. It unfolds naturally, steadily, undeniably, and as it continues to unfold you will realize that nothing you went through was wasted, every tear refined you, every misunderstanding matured you, every silent night strengthened you, and now those refinements are becoming visible through the peace you carry, the wisdom you speak, the stability you embody, and the favor that surrounds you. And this is only the beginning of what a cleared name can produce, because when God establishes something it becomes a foundation for greater works, greater influence, greater impact, and you are stepping into that greater dimension now with a heart that is stronger, a mind that is clearer, and a spirit that is anchored, and no future accusation will have the power it once had, because you have already seen what happens when heaven speaks on your behalf, and once heaven has spoken the matter is settled, and you can move forward boldly knowing that what was meant to discredit you has instead distinguished you, what was meant to shame you has strengthened you, and what was meant to stop you has propelled you into a season of undeniable clarity, stability, and honor that will continue to unfold beyond anything you previously imagined.